Thanks.
Okay, and I am going to mute everyone now. Whoops. In a minute, I'm going to mute everyone. Okay. So I am so glad you're all here and that we all made it successfully. Today is, we're going to be focusing on Gevura. Today is the second week of counting the Omer, and Gevura is the Sifra that we'll be looking at. And what I know is that Gevura is usually translated as strength or power or discipline or judgment. But I think that all of that is true, and there are some nuances that I would like to focus on as we talk about or think about Gevura. One is accountability. So it's a kind of accountability toward myself and toward others. So that accountability is, am I actually doing what I intended to do? So it's maybe I had the intention of cleaning out my junk drawer, and I keep not cleaning out my junk drawer. So the Gevura in there is looking at, I have this intention of cleaning out my junk drawer. I'm not doing it. Why am I not doing it? Not beating myself up because I'm not doing it, just noticing, I keep thinking I want to do this. I keep not doing it. What's really going on here? And then making some decisions. The decision is, okay, I'm going to put on a really fun podcast and clean out my junk drawer. Or the decision is, it's a junk drawer. It doesn't need to be cleaned out, and I'm going to let go of this. So that's kind of Gevura. It's this being accountable to myself. There's also, under the look of accountability, I think, it's the remembering. Am I remembering what my intention was? So now, given the circumstances that we're living with, there is this effort to remember, to wipe, to wash, and to mask. Am I remembering to wipe, to wash, and to mask? That's a piece of Gevura, this remembering, this coming back to the intention. Another aspect of Gevura that I find really, really interesting is about wise boundaries. So it's, and there are so many ways to look at boundaries. There's the boundaries between myself and somebody else. I'm being asked to do something. Is it something that I am willing to do, capable of doing, want to do? Do I want to say yes? Do I want to say no? Do I have the Gevura, the strength, to really examine what I want to do in this situation and follow through on that? There's also the whole boundary of within myself. Am I maintaining, again, particularly now, a schedule that is working for me, that is healthy for me? Am I figuring out how to have relationships and be in relationship and carve out alone time for myself? And this is true whether you're living alone, as I am, or if you're living with your partner, or your partner and, children, I don't know, anybody else who's sheltering in place with you. There needs to be a balance, a reasonable boundary between how much togetherness and how much separateness. And how can I do that and carve that out with the other people in my life, particularly if I'm sheltering in place with other people, in a kind and loving way? It relates to last week because we never let go of the week that came before, right? So we still have to keep the chesed in mind. So these are real challenges. And we need that ability to look at what our habitual responses or reactions might be, and then quiet ourselves enough so that we can, with chesed, look at our behavior, look at what rises up in us, and then make different decisions or make the same decision, but make it from a different mental or emotional space. So we have a lot of things that we just respond to habitually. And because we respond to something habitually in the same pattern doesn't make it bad. It just makes it a habit that maybe we should spend a moment to look at. And, I can think of a habit that I have that serves me well. I cannot walk out of my bedroom in the morning without having gone into the bathroom and brushed my teeth and washed my face. Can't do it. So this is a habit that serves me well. I have other habits that don't necessarily serve me so well. It's like my mother-in-law used to say she can't have a dry cup of coffee, which meant she always had to have a cookie with her coffee. Not necessarily the world's worst habit, but not necessarily serving and worth every time I have a cup of coffee, thinking about, do I really want a coffee? Do I really want a cookie? What's really happening here? So with Gevura, we stop and we examine with kindness, with gentleness, and make decisions that are responses rather than reactions. I love this quote from Viktor Frankl. I am certain that many of you are familiar with it. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And for me, Gevura is what creates that space. So with that prelude, I am going to suggest that we do a little experimenting with our breath as we sit today. And I will lead you through this, and then we'll have a period of silence after I lead you through this kind of examination of your breath. So breath is an interesting thing because it's automatic. We just breathe without thinking about it, and we can control it. So it's really nice to be able to experiment with this a little bit, I think. So I invite you now to take your meditation position. If you are sitting in a chair, I'm really going to encourage you to move away from the back of the chair and feel your feet firmly flat on the floor. If you're sitting on a cushion or the floor, I want you to really feel your sits bones on the cushion or the floor. And you might also feel your sits bones in the chair, depending upon how cushy your chair is. So sitting with a nice straight spine, away from the back of the chair, you'll notice that you're engaging your core core muscles in order to sit erect. This is true if you're sitting on the floor, if you're sitting on a cushion, if you're sitting in a chair. There's strength in that, power. So now if you're comfortable, allow your eyes to gently close or gaze down at the floor. Feeling your feet firmly on the floor, leaning a little bit into your feet. Feeling your physical power, your gavura, your strength. There's no need to tense muscles or contract muscles to feel your power. Simply feeling your physical power and strength. From your feet, through your legs, your core. Is that power rising? And now I invite you to experiment with your breath. I encourage you to breathe in as fully as you can through your nose. And then exhale fully and completely through an open mouth. And again, inhaling fully, as fully as you can. And exhaling through an open mouth. And continue this practice for several rounds. I'll let you know when we want to stop. As you continue taking these deep cleansing breaths, pay attention and notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. And notice that pause between the inhale and the exhale. And that other pause between the exhale and the inhale. Notice the power you are exerting to control your breath. And now, stop controlling your breath. Breathe naturally. See if you can, again, notice the inhale, notice the exhale, notice the pause between inhale and exhale, and the pause between the exhale and the inhale. Can you notice the desire to control your breathing arising? And can you restrain it and simply allow yourself to be breathed while noticing your breath? So before we begin our sharing and of insights or comments or questions, I just want to close our meditation with a reminder that today is the 12th day of the Omer, which is the day of Hod, humility, in Gevurah. So may we all recognize our strength with humility and set wise boundaries in these very challenging times. Thank you all.